Hi.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Okay. How are you?
Okay. It's a loaded question. Before that was just like superficial talk. Now it actually has the weight of the world on it. How are you?
Oh, yeah. Right. I'm okay. Where are you?
Well, I'm in New York City at the moment, but I'm actually like even this later today. I'm heading up to look at some places upstate because I'm just looking at what the fall and winter might look like. So
I understand. Have you been in New York ever since March?
yeah.
Uh-huh.
You?
I got out.
South Carolina?
No, I'm in mountains in North Carolina.
Oh.
I got out, I guess probably, it must have been late March. I decided to head out, which I guess was right sort of before everything really kind of locked down. And you could feel it happening at that moment.
Right.
Yeah, I've been.
It's like so many people were doubting, or not maybe if not doubting what was going on very early on. I'm talking about they were probably just minimizing it to some degree, but you had a sense that something.
Yeah, and I was lucky enough to have a place to go to. Many years when I wouldn't have been able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I just and I keep moving around anyway. So, but yeah, I definitely felt something happening.
Right.
Like, whoa, I think I'm going to head on out. Something.
Well,
and feeling a lot right now with everything onto it.
What's that?
With everything added onto it, with everybody. I mean, from outside, it's always hard to tell what's going on. I talked to a lot of people in New York, and it sounds pretty extreme with what people are feeling, and the unrest, as well as trying to come out of the coronavirus. I mean, that's a pretty big double thing going on right there. Huh?
It's enormous, and I don't even think people have a full sense of just how much stress we're all under, because you kind of just go into survival mode and you're just going day by day. But whereas a culture, we're really, it's a very stressful period to go. We're dealing with a lot more than should be expected to deal with it,
Yes, I can imagine.
So,
I feel it.
Yeah. So I'm trying to run away, Will.
Yeah, I think that might be a good idea right now. I mean, I don't know.
At least for the summer. Sorry, cutting out.
You might need a little escape. I think you've earned it.
There you go.
Since March.
Thank you. Now I'm going to tell everybody in my family that.
Good.
Well, it's complicated, and I can actually tie this if I'm clever enough, and that's always in doubt. But if I'm clever, I might even be able to tie this to the film. But I have a child, a young teenage boy, and I think you're a father of 2 young children, if I'm not mistaken.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm up in the mountains. I hope we don't have trouble here.
Did I cut out?
Just a little bit. I'm getting most of it.
Well, we can repeat, right? If we have to, we'll be patient.
Yeah. You're going to try to tie this to...
Oh, I'm going to just try to bring it full circle also to Hammer, to the film, because...
Yeah, that's what I thought you would say. Okay.
I mean, listen, I'm happy to talk to you regardless, because I'll be telling you the truth. I've been doing this podcast for a really long time. I can say even before podcast, everybody was doing them. And I have a select list of people I've always wanted to meet or talk to. And since I first came aware of you in the 80s, you are at the top of that list, I have to tell you.
Okay.
I'm not just trying...
Glad to hear it.
Yeah, just, one becomes sort of intrigued by certain artists and personalities and the kind of work they choose to do, et cetera, et cetera. And so I was very happy that we were put together today. So, but
good.
We can...
I'm happy too.
Now, you're a dad too, right? You have 2 young children, is that?
No. Actually, you can't believe anything they put on the internet. Man.
I guess
so
not.
Many stories about myself. just imagine the amount of wrong information we're getting if one can look oneself up and find out all kinds of false information about oneself.
Very true.
Imagine, how can we even trust the definition of words?
You have a point.
Huh?
I guess you have a point,
Yeah.
So
no, I do not.
Okay.
I do not.
Well, so much for all my preparation here. Well, you are a son. Let me rephrase. You are a son.
I am a son. That's for sure.
Now, is your dad? Was he a playwright?
Yeah, that's one of the things. But again,
Okay.
that's kind of a weird definition of him too. He was a minister.
Oh, okay, right.
He was an English teacher. He was he got involved with theater and he dove for conch in Alaska. He's a charter boat captain. I mean,
I see.
To say he's like a playwright is another misinterpretation.
Okay, right. It's interesting though, because we can filter what information we get the way we sort of want to anyway. So I can decide, given whatever information is out there, who Will Patton is, and it may have nothing to do with reality.
That's right.
So this is who you are.
Right, man.
So I guess I'm just bringing it around because when we were talking about our responses to the pandemic, and I have the urge to get out of New York City, which I've had for a long time, regardless. I have a love-hate relationship with it, but I do have a teenage son. He's in Los Angeles with his mother now, who's an actor, and I only bring it up because I have to. I don't know what the fall plan is for his school in Brooklyn, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But I feel a certain amount of conflict over what my decision ultimately is going to be, whether it's going to, my kid does not want to leave Brooklyn, So, but anyway, I guess what I'm bringing it around to in the film Hammer, which on the surface is this very taut suspense story, but really at the center it is a father and son story, and the subtext, I was thinking about it, there really is this rather interesting relationship between these two guys, because you have a sense there's so many moments where we're as an audience not trusting the son because he's involved with the things he's doing, which are criminal. At the same time, we see the relationship with the dad, and there's such an embedded trust, obviously, and
Yeah, it's interesting because that's the part of the movie that always interested me. That I don't think Christian minds me saying that this was loosely based on his own family and something that happened in his family.
Christian Sparks is the director. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Christian Sparks,
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that when I read it, that there was something really personal in it in terms of
there is.
And family, and also that there was something about it being so personal that made some of the extreme situations that the father got into seem more real, because for the most part, and this is what interests most about the movie, we don't in films these days acknowledge what to really kill someone might feel like or mean or actually be like.
Mm-hmm.
And that is very interesting, and I think something that we all sort of have the responsibility to think about, especially when you go to a movie theater in the middle of America and people are laughing at people getting their heads chopped off. Soldiers know what killing is.
Mm-hmm.
But do we know what that is? I think it's probably very brutal, very surprising, maybe even frighteningly casual, and in a way that I think would blow our minds in terms of what the repercussions and resonance of that would be.
Just the emotional. You're talking about the emotional repercussions.
I am. I'm talking about all the repercussions. What would it mean to actually kill another human being? That's a pretty powerful thing. I don't think we really take it into account. I think movies used to take it into account a little more.
Mm-hmm.
Saying, man, somebody just got killed. Wow, that's heavy stuff. But now, I don't know. I think we're getting a little jaded about that. And I'm curious, if we're going to play with people getting killed, maybe we have that kind of responsibility to, just really think what that is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you watch the tape of, the guy being killed by the police, and that's not like what you see in the movies. That's something else that's really, really affects one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah, on the deepest level, and that's along with the personal thing in Hammer. That's, I think, something that I wanted to, try to understand through that.
Well, in the fact that I'm more impressed than before, because knowing that Christian, who is again the author, the screenwriter as well as the director, he could have just made this a family drama that had nothing to do with some motorcycles zipping by. That had nothing to do with. Instead, he chose to put it in a kind of a genre backdrop. I suppose, right? Because it's this almost like, it's a suspense movies, and right. They're racing against the clock at every moment in a sense. So
that's right.
He could have. So he put that together, which kind of almost puts the personal story in jeopardy. In terms of trying to tell that story. But again, maybe by hiring an exceptional number of actors for the film, because you get a sense that earlier in their story, that there was a deep, deep love and bond. Obviously it's still there. It holds together even through, any number of challenges,
Yeah.
Tough love would be recommended in a case like this because of some betrayals that happened, but still the father, he has an instinct and he has a set of values where he cannot turn his back on his boy,
That's right. Yeah. It goes pretty far.
Yeah. It's there, So it's great. The film is called Hammer, and it's going to be available on demand and on VOD as of June 5th, this couple of days from now. How is it? I guess this is kind of more in the hands of distribution and perhaps Christian's sphere, but this other aspect of the pandemic, of course, watching films, this could be the new way we watch film. Watching obviously at home isn't new. It's been around now for over 5 to 10 years now. But the future of cinema and the theater specifically is sort of in a very tenuous place. Is it not?
Yeah, it's interesting because I know Christian and they decided to go ahead with the streaming thing, but there's this other movie that I'm involved with called Minari, Minari, which directed by this great director Lee Isaac Chung. It's Korean. They won both the jury prize and the audience prize at Sundance this year. And
which just scraped by, right? Getting Sundance was a great break because, well, first of all, it's Sundance. But just the timing, it was the end of what's typically the beginning of the festival season, turned out to be the end of the festival season.
That's exactly right. And I know that A24 and Plan B are planning on holding that until it can show on a big screen, which I really hope they're able to do. Another movie I did with good director Alex Rockwell called Sweet Pain was supposed to premiere Tribeca, and then I'm hoping they're holding that for the big screen. Now, whether this is a hope that's realistic, I don't know.
So you're saying you're also in Alex's new film?
Alex Rockwell?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did actually now it's like I did that around the time I did Hammer. And
right.
I think it won something in Berlin, and it was going to be at Tribeca this year. So.
I'm friends with him. and his
Oh,
wife,
he's
and
with
Cat,
Alex. Oh, great.
and his wife, yeah, Karen.
Oh, okay, Karen.
Yeah, yeah. I just didn't remember that you were in that film, so I'm glad to.
Yeah, yeah,
Terrific.
yeah.
Well, it's everybody's call, you know. If you can hold out, it might be worth it. I mean, I think it's impossible to know what will be coming, you know.
I know.
But
I
people,
know.
but you know, it's something that people are going to want to have. So hopefully, it will, you know, return, and it's going to be a strange time. What can we say, you know?
Yeah, I know. I've had a couple of people say to me lately, you know, I was thinking, what is it that I flashes? And I said, oh, you know, I'd really like to go to a theater and watch a movie. I've heard a few people say that to me lately. So obviously, everyone hasn't given up.
Sure. Yeah. Well, are you watching a lot of films at home?
I'm not really. I don't stream. I don't do all of that.
Really?
I actually almost you know, I'm totally, especially up here in the mountains. All I got is like this little TV and hard copies of stuff.
Wow, that's
yeah. So
I don't know. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I do. You know, I try to keep myself busy with other stuff. And even when I'm watching these days, I find I'm very easily distracted with a lot of stuff that's going on. It's hard to believe how much stuff can be going on when you're in isolation.
Sure, I know, it's very true. Are you in the Blue Ridge Mountains or something like that? Where are you?
I am in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Yeah.
So you are how close to Asheville are you, for instance?
Pretty doggone close.
Okay, so I'm just I'm just making a note so when I come visit, we'll just I'll just get in touch with you as I get closer.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Maybe you should. Maybe that's where you should get your place.
You may be right. I mean, I don't know. I'm excited about the idea of living in also like right at the foothills of the Catskills. Though it's an area that I have a lot of friends and a lot of connections to. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to have a little place up there. I loved it. Down here is kind of like that southern style, you know.
Yeah, but that's your background. That much I can say, right? You are
a little bit, but I travel a lot of places. I was born in the South, and but I moved a lot of places. I came to New York as a pretty young man, and I went to school school for creative kids on Long Island when I was a teenager. So there's a lot more to the story than the internet says.
Yeah. Well, if that's not a reason to come back on and do this podcast when we have a little bit more time.
That'd be great.
Maybe when we get to the other side of this particular period, if that's easier. I don't know how to make it happen, but I guess I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I know. Well, maybe we'll be able to talk about Alex's movie as well as.
Oh, very good point. You know? Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. I'm glad you're smarter than I am.
I don't know about that.
Well, you're probably reading a lot. Is my guess. All that free time where you're not streaming stuff, you're probably reading.
I am reading a bit.
I am too.
Keep the brain working.
I'm trying to read a lot myself.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to mention it again. The name of the film is called Hammer, and you play Stephen Davis. That's your character's name, just in case you didn't know. And Stephen Davis. Yeah. And it's directed by Christian Sparks.
Yes. Who is someone to pay attention to. I think he has a lot of potential. He's a really intelligent, talented guy.
I'm glad to have been brought to he has been brought to my attention. And if you're a fan of corn, or certainly corn stalks, this is your movie.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah, I remember it well.
Well, we'll just keep chatting until we get interrupted. So you're in this what's the name of the Korean director again?
Lee Isaac Chung. I did another movie with him called Abigail Harm with Amanda Plummer a while back. But
I love her.
He's wonderful. Yeah, he's a really, really wonderful director, and has made a really the kind of movie that will really, really resonate for a long time. Yeah.
But he's an American. Is he here? He sounds like he's got.
Yeah. He actually grew up. Right. He grew up in Arkansas, which is part of what this story's about.
Makes sense because you don't meet many true Koreans whose middle name is Isaac.
Right.
You know,
Right.
but
That again is loosely based on his childhood. It's very interesting.
very good. And
Yeah.
Alex is his film. Okay, and
Yeah.
then I guess production stopped maybe after that. I don't know.
What's that?
And then I suppose production sort of stopped after that, or do you have other? You have also some TV,
yeah.
but you have some Good Wife or some TV work too, some episodic.
Oh no, I filmed this television series Swamp Thing for like 6 months last year, and that's coming on, prime time this year. It was on some kind of DC network for a while, but it'll be on, and that's pretty interesting with and very prescient and actually prevalent to right now.
Is there an environmental story to it? Is that what?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
How'd I guess that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the environment is grateful for the pandemic. I'm going to guess.
I know. I've been thinking about that too. I know.
Yeah.
It's a strange thing.
Do you have a lot of wild? Do you have any? What's the animal life or the natural life up where you are?
Oh, everything. I got a lot of woods up here, and there's bears, there's bobcats, there's like secret wildcats. There's like creatures sometimes I don't even know what they are.
Is that right?
The internet hasn't defined.
Yeah.
We're going to be quiet about the internet missing.
Oh wait, you're cutting out.
Yeah. I said we better be quiet about those animals before the internet starts making up false stories about them.
I'm going to edit that part out because clearly it's. But there's you get one Wikipedia page. I don't understand. I don't rely on it. I'm just trying to make sure. I was just saying, I want to start this off, even though this is a couple of weeks before Father's Day. I thought, it might be interesting to try to tie this into, and I just lost my dad actually, and I'm thinking about. Yeah, it's been tough, and I'm thinking about my own son, and who's now not living with me as of a couple of weeks ago, and so the film kind of brings those. I know it's an action in a sense; it feels like it's a suspense film and all, but it does bring up certain things,
Well, that's the part that's interesting to me.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah, and my dad just had a stroke recently, and I've been dealing with that. He's rehabilitating, but powerful stuff, fathers and sons.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
We are gonna have to move on.
Sophie.
Okay.
Sophie, don't bring bad news. Come on.
I know. Don't kill the messenger.
No. I do. Thank you so much for hooking me up with Will and introducing me to the film.
Of course.
Thank you. Good talking with you. Let's do it again.
All right, we'll do it again around Alex's film. That's a great idea.
Sounds good.
I love that.
Or any film. Yeah, but that sounds like a good idea.
Well, okay, and I'm going to look out for the other film as well.
Good.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Take care.
See you later.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.